What if astrology wasn't about predicting your future, but understanding yourself? Welcome to the Whispering Soul. My name is Nancy Vellante, and I am an humanistic and intuitive astrologer and certified wellness coach. Let's listen inward today. As Pluto is stationing retrograde in Aquarius on Wednesday, May 6th, I'd like to give you a different perspective. So instead of seeing that as something heavy or overwhelming, let's think for a moment, or let's pause for a moment and reflect. Retrogrades ask us to revisit and rework things. And with Pluto, that work goes deep. We just came out of a full moon in Scorpio ruled by Pluto. So that deepness, that feeling is still lingering. Not to punish us, but to remind us about transformation and change into our sense of identity, power, and transformation. And in Aquarius, this becomes about how we show up in our communities, how we show up every day for work, to hang out with our friends, to be with our family, to hang out with yourself, where we feel connected and where we don't. You might start noticing questions coming up like, where do I truly belong? I'm an Aquarian, so I ask myself that all the time. It's okay. It's a good question. Am I holding back parts of myself just to fit in? I have done that in my life. I'm not young. I'm not, in my 20s anymore, but in my 20s, yeah, I did do that. I have to be honest. Because we all want to fit in somehow, right? And we do that sometimes at our own expense. And that's a learning curve. This energy of Pluto stationing retrograde isn't asking you to blend in, because it's in Aquarius. It's asking you to be real, to be honest, to dig deep in the hidden truth of who you might be or who you are. To recognize that the parts of you that feel different might actually be the parts that are meant to contribute something meaningful. That was an eye-opener for me when I started thinking that for myself in the work that I do in astrology and coaching, and I was a professional dancer and theater artist. I asked myself that. It didn't always stick, but as I'm getting older, yeah, it's meaning a lot, especially with Pluto in Aquarius. Because Pluto really wants to transform. And really, everybody says, oh, Pluto, but Pluto wants the best. All the planets want the best. Because the higher consciousness of Pluto is the alchemizing of what doesn't work, what's hidden, what's suppressed, into the gifts of who you are authentically. This is less about changing who you are and more about re-seeing your place in the bigger picture. I have never used that phrase in a retrograde before, re-seeing. I love it. Aquarius is about vision, seeing the bigger picture. So let me give you a reflection prompt. This is going to be a short podcast today because Pluto's deep. So that's why I wanted to make it very succinct and right to the point, as Pluto likes to do. So here's a reflection. Maybe just listening to this, something to sit with. Where in your life do you feel like an outsider? And what if that feeling isn't something to fix? What if you don't have to fix that? But something to understand. Because Aquarius is the outsider sometimes, because Aquarius, is a little quirky sometimes, has unique, is the future, has that vision. But why do we have to fix that? Why can't we understand that so we know what to bring to the group? Because Aquarius is about the group, about the collective, about the community. But first, Pluto is asking, and Aquarius asks, who are you as the individual? What part of you is asking to be expressed more honestly? Not that you have to be the rebel. Aquarius can be the rebel, but maybe toning that down with Pluto, you are empowered with that ability to find the expression of honesty. Sometimes it doesn't feel good to the other person, but if you can stay with the conversation or the feeling or the connection, it will pass. It will transform. I do promise you that. And how might your perspective, your voice, your experience actually serve the people around you? If you allowed it to be seen. I'm kind of playing with that this week myself. Through heart. So when you keep the mind open, the heart stays open. It's okay to have fear. It's okay to be cautious, but don't stay there. Keep moving gently, slowly, sometimes fast, but just know, there's a barometer you want to check in on with yourself. You don't have to have the answers right away. And that's kind of what I'm saying. This is about staying open, curious, and willing to reflect. At its core, this Pluto retrograde is about transformation. Pluto is always about transformation. The alchemy of what's been hidden, what doesn't work, what's toxic, what might be negative now that maybe worked before, but, just doesn't work now. It's like changing your soil every year with your garden. You want to feed it. But this transformation is not the kind that happens overnight. Please, we want to really understand that one. It's not overnight. It's a slow, intentional shift. A chance to rebuild your sense of self from the inside out. How beautiful is that? We need more of that. And to rethink what connection and community really mean to you. It changes every few years, maybe every few weeks, months, but it does change. We have to allow ourselves to sense and feel and bring that to the surface. We're moving away from old systems. That's Aquarius. We're moving away from old systems, institutions, ways of doing business, technology. So we can be innovative in the future. That's Aquarius. That's Pluto. We want to take that transformation and bring it, re-envision what truth, authenticity, science. Aquarius rules sinus, innovation, invention. So these old systems told us who we were and what to be. But if they're changing and breaking down, so are we, because we work together. And toward something more authentic, more collaborative, more grassroots. Yep, more human. More inclusive, not exclusive. Yeah, we're all at different levels and in different ways of being. That's beautiful. That's okay. We can still come together within our differences and find a commonality because we're human. Very simple. That commonality could be we all have a heart that beats. We all have a heart that wants to be loved, that wants to belong somewhere, somehow, for some reason. That's this Pluto in retrograde. That's the beauty, the finding, the exploration. So take your time with this. Let yourself question things. Let yourself evolve. And trust that as you become more aligned with who you really are, you naturally begin to find spaces and people that align with you too. That takes time, that takes energy, and that takes showing up for yourself, for your individuality, and then show up for the group. Because then you know yourself. You already have a place. You already have a space then. That's where real connection begins. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful retrograde in Pluto. I love retrogrades. I've said that in my podcasts all the time. It's a time to reconsider. You get another chance to look at something that maybe you didn't fully digest or fully alchemize. So with that said, with your feet on the ground, take care of your nervous system. And we can take care of our nervous systems by breathing, cutting down on caffeine, cutting down on sugar, and just eating foods that really nourish you. Your body will tell you. And knowing, oh, my nervous system feels a little off right now. Okay, let me back out of this situation so I feel safe, so I feel connected, so I feel grounded instead of getting triggered. But if you get triggered, use that as an opportunity to look at how you can have a different perspective. So you can re-see yourself and come back into alignment. So if you might be looking for an astrological reading, it's a good time to know where these outer planets are in your chart. Pluto, Uranus, Saturn's not an outer planet, but it's very important, and Neptune. You can reach me, or you can sign up for, or you can book a reading on my website, and that is thewhisperingsoul.net. And you can also reach me at my email if you have any questions. I'm happy to connect and answer. Nancy at thewhisperingsoul.net. So you have a good day, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.